Hey, this is Alice and I'm here with the first week of July news, updates, little bits and pieces of what's been going on, so check it out. So this has been kind of a busy week as far as real estate news has gone, and I'm just going to touch on bits and pieces here and there and give you a quick market update on my local area, the Victoria, BC market. I know some people who have subscribed are probably not from my area, so if you're not, just bear with me and give me a minute here. Okay. So far the sales for the Victoria area are 147 sales that have gone through. Last year in July, for the total month, there was 790 sales. So it's not a really heavy month sales-wise in general. So like last year, 790 sales, like that's not a lot considering how busy it was. But we're looking pretty good so far there. For new listings, we've had 280 listings come to market. It's actually a little bit higher now. It's been a few days. And last year there was about 1,100 listings for the entire month of July. So I think we're going to see a few more listings than last year, and we'll just have to stay tuned and see what happens. But I do find a lot of people that are visiting my open houses they've got their property on the market and they're really looking. So we'll see what happens with that. And active listings, again, this is one of the more interesting numbers that I've been watching, is how many listings are piling up on the market. Last year we had quite low inventory, and so far this month we have about 2,600 listings on the market, which is high because for July, the entire month, they had 1,921 listings on the market. So we're already higher to start off with, and I do see that number climbing. I don't know what it'll get to. The sales kind of set it off a little bit, so we'll see. But again, it's just, I feel like I'm repeating myself. The active listings, they're higher than last year, and that's, giving buyers more choice. So kind of helping the prices kind of level out, and it's just not creating as many bidding wars, which is good for buyers. So anyways, that's the Victoria market. The Bank of Canada increased their prime rate as well. So that's been in some news articles. It was a 0.25 increase. So what's the prime rate at? 3.7% is the prime rate for Bank of Canada, and major banks as well have raised that along with Bank of Canada. Some actually did it before, like preemptively, but that's also affecting HELOCs, like home equity lines and variable rate mortgages. So if you have a variable rate, you will notice a change in your payments. Say if you own a house like $750,000, it's roughly $12 per 100,000 borrowed is like the number. So like an average house is $750. So 7.5 by 12, that's $90 a month you'd be paying extra, which is interesting. And they have their next meeting for the interest rate increases for I think it's September 5th this year. So we'll see again if they raise that prime rate again. But a lot of studies, especially in January 2018, they were coming out saying that Canadians are so indebted that like $200 a month extra would stop them from being able to pay their mortgage. I'm not in that situation myself, but I feel like that's kind of scary. That was like a really big majority of people that are that kind of on a razor's edge. And they're also seeing people canceling sales because of this, because if you're borrowing up to your maximum amount and like that's the most that you're comfortable with, like beyond being totally overstretched, a lot of people are seeing these increases and thinking, no, it's not worth it, and they're just paying whatever fees they have to get out of the sale, and they're just walking away, which I don't blame them. It's natural. It's not fun for the people selling, but it is what it is. And we'll see what happens with that. But again, it's making it more difficult for people to get financing. So all in all, it's not a great thing, but I think we all knew that the financing couldn't stay at near zero rate forever. So this is it's what's happening, and we just kind of got to deal with it. Interestingly, I saw a poll that was talking about how many people choose fixed rate over variable, and it's like 50-50. Like half the people would choose a variable rate over a fixed rate. And I don't know, just my 2 cents, being like a real budgeting kind of nerd, I feel like in this climate, why wouldn't you choose a fixed rate when, like, especially last year, a lot of people chose variable rates, and it's like, why would you choose that when the rates are so incredibly low? Like, I get people have their reasons, and I don't need to be, like, yelled at in the comment section, but, you know, it's like, if the rates are that low, fix it, lock it in for, like, 5 years. I did that for mine. I locked it in at 2 point whatever percent, you know, a couple years ago, because it's pretty obvious they're going to go up, and I wouldn't want to be over the barrel for a variable rate at this point. So, I don't know, just something to think about. I don't think the rates are going to go down. So if you're getting a mortgage, maybe look into a fixed rate. Get a really good mortgage broker who's honest, and you'll be okay. But what else do we have? The BC Ministry of Finance is looking at drafting a legislation that basically makes people register where the interest holder of a property is from, or what type of holding it's in, like if it's in a corporation, or if it's a trustee, or if it's a partnership. They're starting to draft that legislation to make that kind of more available, and like people have to declare it. So they're calling that the Landowner Transparency Act, LOTA, and we'll see what they do with that, but that's something that's been in the works, you know, and it's been reported on for the past couple weeks, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, I'm also hearing of people selling off contracts on pre-sales, which is not surprising to me. I think that'll be happening a lot more as, you know, if you've bought something that's not going to be ready for 2 years and the prices start dropping, I think people are going to want to assign their contracts on those as well. So people are starting to see a little bit of that, but again, I think it's too early for that. I think there's probably at least a year or 2 years before that really becomes a big thing. I know that some sales contracts in real estate don't provide for assigning your contract. So if you're assigning your contract, you know, you've got your contract of purchase and sale, and you can actually sell that contract to somebody else, so you can make a profit on it. I mean, that's what they were doing in Vancouver. People were buying pre-sales and then marking them up and selling the contract to buy. It's called shadow flipping. It's not great, but it is what it is. But if you do buy a pre-sale in this market, I'd probably recommend putting in some kind of clause that allows you to assign the contract, to give you the option in case you do need to sell and the value is dropping and you want to get out. You know, there's always ways around it, but without getting fines and stuff like that. I don't know. That's just a thought. Yeah, and I saw it in the news, which it made me laugh, was Royal LePage reported, I don't know if it was in Toronto, I think it was in a Toronto newspaper. It was like the headline was something like the Toronto market has bottomed out and prices are going to be on the rise again. And it was a Royal LePage reporting, which I've worked with Royal LePage. I used to be under their brokerage. Don't like them, but I thought it was really funny, and it made me laugh because I think it's pretty clear that it's not going to rebound at this point and that it has not bottomed out. People might differ with me, that's fine, but from what I'm reading in the news, it's a lot of kind of pumping up Montreal and Toronto as the next big, you know, they're going to be having a big run up and there's going to be a lot of sales happening, and especially in the luxury markets. And, you know, when I read those things, I mean, I know better because I kind of pay more attention, but when I see them, I just kind of hope that people know that when you're reading the news, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. And I always tell people, think about what they're trying to accomplish by telling you that, you know? It's like, in all aspects of news, I always find that it's like they tell you what they want to do, they tell you what they want to do, and it's like they condition you to be comfortable with it. And it's like when they say Montreal is going to be the next big thing, it's like, are they trying to ramp it up? I don't know. I just think it's really suspicious that they're saying Toronto's bottomed out already when it probably hasn't already begun, to be honest. I think that they're in for quite a ride, and as are a lot of cities in Canada, you know. I just think, you know, watch out for what you're reading. And I know a lot of people already kind of are hating on articles written by the real estate industry, and I agree. I mean, I don't agree with that article by Royal LePage, you know, and I think just keep an eye out on what they're trying to condition you for and what they're trying to get people comfortable with. You know, even interest rates going up. I mean, they've been talking about it forever, and now it's happening, and you're like, you know, it's not as surprising anymore, you know. But yeah, it's just kind of my 2 cents is when you do read those news, kind of keep an eye out and don't always take it for face value because they're normally not telling you the truth. Anyways, that's what I got for this week. I don't know, my other general feeling is I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos and there's been a lot of people that are reading articles and doing live streams of talking about listings being cancelled and then being relisted at a lower price and making it look like a new listing, and people are getting really mad about that. And you know, I've done that myself as a realtor. I have a listing that I've had to cancel and relist at a different price, and ultimately, you know, I think it's funny because people are getting mad about it, but it's like, that's how you sell a property. You know, as I act for my sellers as a realtor, it's like I'm doing what I know works best to get the property sold. And, you know, people talking so much about realtors manipulating the market, I just feel like, you know, we have our market information and we price properties, at least 90% of us do. We price them according to what recently sold in that area, closest to that unit, same aspect, same look, same, you know, whatever. As close as we can get, that's how we price them because we want them to sell. And, you know, being blamed by people for just being a realtor and it's like, oh, we're this scum of the earth, basically. It's like, no, realtors are not that manipulative of pricing, and we're trying to sell properties. You know, what incentive would I have if a property sells for $20,000 more, you know, or $20,000 less? I want to get the property sold because I'm trying to work with my seller's timeline. And it makes me look bad when a property doesn't sell. So do you really think that realtors are the ones that are really wanting to overprice? In my experience, and the realtors I talk to, no. It's the sellers. Sellers are used to selling at those inflated prices, and they don't want to accept less because they've gotten so comfortable with bidding wars, overpriced properties, and it's basically you have to give people time to get used to the properties sitting on the market, and they get tired of the property sitting. They want to sell. They don't want to sit there forever, so they'll start dropping their prices. But I'm encountering that all over. People still want to price for last year's bidding war prices, and they will not change their mind. So it's like, is that my fault? No, I'm trying to advise them to sell for what it's worth, but you know, it's going to be an adjustment period. But it's just rough when it's like, you know, being demonized by so many YouTubers, and it's like, you know, ultimately realtors are just trying to get the property sold. And there are ones that do, you know, shadow flipping, or there were. I mean, they're clamping down on that, but that's a really small percentage. And, you know, as long as you're hearing the right things coming out of the realtor's mouth, like for me, example, I'll talk about the bubble openly because I'm honest, I don't care. I'd rather be poor than be a liar, right? But, yeah, I just think the blame is being placed, you know, there's a little bit of blame to be placed there for sure. But it's like the government is using realtors as a scapegoat when it's like nobody's really watching what they're doing as heavily as they should be. But anyways, I'm rambling. So that's my week. Yeah, if you have any comments or questions, I'm always happy to talk. You can subscribe if you like my videos, or you can send me an email direct if you want any advice, or you just want to have a coffee and sit down and chat about the real estate market, or, you know, the local economy. I'm here. So anyways, have a great week and hopefully a great weekend. It looks like it's gonna be nice out. So have a good one. We'll talk later. Bye.